people are going to lose their minds over what's going to happen to the future of our industry. And it's like, just pull the reins back. Like it's gonna blow itself over, and understand it's just another tool, right? And there are many cool situations where I can use that tool to help in certain parts of creating content. Don't be afraid of it. But like, it's not, I don't think it's going to, take over what you can bring to businesses, at the end of the day, or how you can grow your personal brand at the end of the day.
Hello and welcome back to the Lakeshore Video Podcast. My name is George Niksch, and today I am here with Tony Pagorek of Hey Charlie Studios. Tony, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I've been watching your work, watching you kind of blossom into this awesome videographer over the last couple of years. I know you didn't always do video, right? Didn't you used to do...
Correct. My career has been all over the map. So I was working in education from the teaching side, even to the administration side that was like 17 years before I actually got into this field.
Wow. That's super cool. So I'm from Crown Point originally, and I know, Tony, you currently live in Crown Point. Are you always from Crown Point?
I was a Munster kid growing up, but I've always been a region rat. So a Munster kid growing up. And then when I moved back home from college, I came back and ended up taking up roots in Crown Point. So we've been in Crown Point now, my family and we've been there over 20 years now. So
wow.
It's pretty crazy already.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So like I said, I've been in the video business for a long time, and I kind of I'm noticing when people pop up who really stand out, and your work honestly is very good, stands out to me, and I couldn't believe how quickly you got really good at it. So that's why I just wanted to bring you on and dive into your business and learn about what you offer your clients. I think that what you're doing is awesome, and it just seems like you're really delivering a lot of value to your clients. So I just wanted to dive deep. I got a set of questions here. We're going to kind of do these a little bit rapid fire for those at home. This is going to be a relatively short podcast compared to some of my other podcasts in the past. And what we're doing is we're trying to get some clips. So if you guys come on the podcast in the future, we're going to try to get some clips for you, sort of a clip farming type podcast. So I think this is a good way to do it. So Tony, what inspired you to start your video marketing agency, and how did you find your niche?
So I would say I had great opportunity of transitioning. I was from teaching into this field to begin with. So I started working for 1117 Media with Ryan Flannery. He took a swing on me and gave me a lot of full reign early on as the creative director, and then ended up becoming main kind of content creator while I was there. And it was great. He kind of threw me in the deep end, gave me a long leash, let me kind of figure out my style. And, a lot of times it was like, hey, can we do this? And, it was like me being like, all right, I'm going to research it. One YouTube video away from having inspiration to how we're going to figure this out. So I really can't thank him enough for giving me that opportunity to get into the field, because it was like, hey, working in schools for 17 years, got a family, got a mortgage, and I have to try to land, a totally different career and land where I had consistent, cash coming in, taking this, almost midlife crisis kind of a change of careers. But then after doing it for a couple of years, started figuring out mostly kind of stuff that I really like shooting. I was researching a lot about video marketing in general and how I thought I might want to do it. And so it kind of came to the point where really enjoyed my time that I had at 1117, but then I thought, hey, I think I want to kind of go off into this other sector and try just something on my own and do that. So we're about just over a year and a half now of Hey Charlie Studios being officially open. And that journey to finding my niche now is kind of evolved, right? At the beginning, it was just do whatever job I could, just because I needed cash flow coming in. So I was still kind of all over the place. And I still have some variety of that going on right now. But I would say for me, trying to find a way of providing video marketing that can be predictable and can be scalable for me personally as a business. So in order to do that, I started trying to think about clientele that could use me for essentially on a monthly basis to kind of look on there as a retainer, but also had a ticket price that could validate using my services. And so because of that, I leaned into the service-based industry, which I know is kind of like broad in general, but if we're a little bit more specific, so pretty much like the home improvement sector for me has been great. So like roofers, heaters, plumbers, pretty much anything like in that vein seems to have ticket prices that they can justify hiring someone like me on a monthly basis.
Nice. That's super cool to hear. Like the way how you just dove in with like having a whole family and kids and stuff. It's tough. Like to dive into this business is scary because you don't really know, like, is it going to take off? Is it not? And like, I see a lot of people get into it when they're young because they can take the risks. So it's like, it's really cool to see like you had a family, kids, and you just up and change career and everything, and it's working out for you. So that's super cool to see, and that's cool that you got into. You found like a niche that like was sort of had a void in the industry where, like, I can see why home improvement companies can benefit from having proper marketing strategies and good videos and stuff like that. So sort of leading into that, why do you believe video is such a powerful tool for businesses today compared to other types of content?
So yeah, like you got to look at a lot of these industries. Like word of mouth has been the way that things have worked forever for people, right? And it's still a very powerful thing, right? You do great work, someone's really happy about it, and I find out that more than anything, right? Like people in general are like, if I got a guy, right? People, when they know they had great service from someone, they can't wait to tell people about it. I'm the same way. Like, especially like working with a lot of these businesses I work with, I end up like using them even for like my home and things like that. And I am like super proud to tell people about it. So word of mouth is like still like such a huge thing. But then when you look at like things like billboard campaigns and stuff like that, like a lot of that stuff is still kind of like out of the reach for a lot of these businesses. And still when you think about that, you have to be on the right road at the right time, looking up to attract that person, right? Newspapers don't have the reach that they used to. So like running ads and stuff like that, like no longer the reach that you used to have. So I believe like with video marketing, right? People are on their phones. That's a source, right? People are on their phones all the time. There's no denying that. So why not have ads that are currently running 24/7, on someone and available to someone who's readily looking at that device all the time. So it's really for you, the biggest thing is like just finding out where those people hang out, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, whether that's TikTok, depending on where you think your clients are living. And then having something that's running, like I said, 24/7, that's a lot more direct because of the way that marketing is set up and everything through Meta and these other areas, right? You can be pretty direct in terms of scaling down who you want to see. So you're not just like throwing up a billboard. It's great. I threw up a billboard, but it's like 20-year-olds don't care about it even if they do read it, right? So, and it's the same, vice versa. So when you can be direct and you can have something that's on 24/7 working for you, like I don't see why, you wouldn't want to go into video marketing. And the final thing that I would say that as well is that a billboard does nothing but maybe give you a beautiful picture, right? Which should be the standard, right? That should be bare minimum, whatever. But what it doesn't really inject is like personality. It doesn't inject trust. And all of that can be done like with video and it doesn't have to be, a 5-minute YouTube video. You can do that within 30 to 40 seconds. You can immediately build a connection with someone through the power of video.
I like that. Yeah. Video has always been sort of out of the reach for a lot of people until recent years. And I think a lot of people aren't really taking advantage of it while they can before I don't know, AI is coming. So who knows what's going to go on with all that. But I think, yeah, I agree. Video is definitely like one of the most powerful tools. And a big part of that now too is that all of the like basically Google, they index all the different websites and stuff, and all of your social medias are now being indexed on Google, which was never a thing. That's very recent.
Correct.
So like the bots are actually listening to the content of your video in order to like promote you as like sort of a leader in your industry. You can establish yourself as like this top player just by getting on video and talking about your industry and showing that you know what you're talking about. So what mistakes do you often see Let's start that one over again. What mistakes do you often see business owners making when it comes to video marketing?
I would say that the biggest mistake that I see is the people that just don't want to be original. I know a lot of this we can look, and I know a general practice is like, hey, go to Meta Library, look up companies that are your competitors, see how long they've been running an ad, right? If an ad's been running for 5 or 6 months, you know that that's like a strong ad. It hasn't had a lot of ad fatigue. It's probably done well for them. They probably made some tweaks here and there. And so why not copy something that you know that works? And I get it in terms of format doing it. But what I really don't like is when I work with a business right from the start and they're just like, you see this video this person did? We need to do the same exact thing. And I just feel like that video probably also hit for people because it was original. It showed, once again, it showed their personality. It showed who they are as a company. It has some kind of vision. It has some kind of vibe to go along with it. And when you're constantly chasing competitors, looking at it like that, like just trying to keep up with the Joneses, I just feel like you're always just a step behind. You're not original. Now you're just like sounding like everyone else. So like, what's the differentiator right now? Like you were doing this to show that you're different. You're doing this to show personality. You're trying to like show that you're more than just like someone who, doesn't really know what's going on. There's all these reasons why you should be using video and how you could use it. And now you're just like, I just want the exact same cookie cutter thing like that. And I just want to put it out word for word because I know it's working for them, because you're just chasing at that point. So for me, that's the toughest thing. I think a lot of businesses are afraid to be themselves. They take themselves way too seriously with certain things because they want to put on this prim and proper thing. I'm going to put on a polo shirt and I'm going to project this. But then when they're off talking everything else, they're like MF and this and that, or they're just, like they have a totally different persona when they start, that are in the office, or they're, or they just joke around. Like they have this jovial personality and they want to do this. And I think a lot of people are so worried about appealing to everyone. And that's not the case. I say be loved or be hated, right? Be something in between. And even for me with my business, I am not for everyone. Like I'm probably way too laid back for some people. My editing style is probably not for everyone at the same thing. Like I'm going to give you a certain look because that's how I am as a creative person. And you might not like the way my videos look. That's fine. Like find someone else who can knock that out for you. I don't care. But it's like, I know I'm not for everyone. And I think most businesses have to realize that same exact thing. And so when you're copying and doing stuff like that, you're just trying to appeal like to everyone. And so if businesses can really just double down on what's them, I say my big thing is being unapologetically you. And that's what I strive for to get out of businesses. Be who you are, have it come through. Don't take yourself too seriously. Like, yes, you want to have a certain amount of professionalism in what you do to show that they can trust you. Because I know like a lot of these businesses I'm working with, right? You're going to invest 5, 10, 20K in this company. So yeah, you want to feel good and you want to feel like these people know what they're doing. But you can do it in like your own unique way that's going to win people over at the end of the day.
I like that. That's I do see, and I was telling you about this right before we started, that a buddy of mine told me, hey, just find other videos that went viral and copy it. That's literally what he told me for a strategy. Yeah. And I mean, maybe that strategy does work, but I do like the idea of being unique. And that's what's really going to make you stand out. If you're trying to be like everybody else, you're going to get lost in the sea of videos out there. There's just an endless sea of video content now.
So. And what I would recommend to you is dissect it more from the standpoint of look at what's the hook. Like dissect videos like that, because that's probably what worked for them, right? Mm-hmm. How did they start that video? Is it like pattern interruption? Is the hook just really strong? Because a lot of these people are testing 4 or 5 videos at a time. So what's that initial call out, right? Mm-hmm. Can you give something similar to that? Maybe that's what was really strong. What was the format after that? Did they get right into the offer? Did they state what the customer's your ideal customer's problem is? Did they provide a solution? Like when you look at a lot of ads, there's a pattern in what's being said where, and that's what you can copy. But yeah. When you look at what makes a successful ad, break it down piece by piece of the parts of what comprise a 30-second ad, right? And then copy that format. And maybe that's the format that you want. Because a lot of ads in general, the way you make them, like they're pretty much just puzzle pieces that you can kind of like slip and move around to see what connects quick with a listener here. If you take one of those parts out, that can make or break an ad. So I think in general, that's what you need to study. The script itself and what people are saying, like that's where you can start injecting you and make it you. But I think copying someone's format, I think, is an intelligent thing to definitely do. And I think if you get to that, that's where you can have like that true inspiration, you know?
Nice. Yeah. So you can sort of copy the way that they set up the different parts, but just make it uniquely yours.
Correct.
I gotcha. So how do you approach creating a video strategy that not only looks great, but also drives results?
Yeah. So the biggest thing here is that with me, it's I think I said, like with the billboard things, like looking great should be like the standard. I think I just heard someone recently, like, you know, when people are promoting, like, I'm going to make you a video that looks great, like that shouldn't be like what we're promoting anymore. Right. So the strategy is by far more the thing as a creator. And that's kind of the hardest thing for me. Cause I think you and me, right? Like give us a camera. We love it because we're creating, right? That's what we want to do first and foremost. And that's the part of my brain that I have to understand is like, I'm coming to you with a camera and that person is assuming that I can do that no matter what. That should never be in question. I should never be fearing that I can't make something look good. Instead, for me, what keeps me up at night is how can I guarantee like a return on investment on this? And, you know, for that client, you know, moving forward, and what's that strategy that I'm bringing to things. So for me, that part of that strategy is, we got to identify who their customer is. We have to identify where these people are living on social media, right? And if we're able to do that, that's the first part of it. And then understanding what those people's problems are. Because the biggest thing that we have to make sure is that when we're on social media coming up with ideas for these clients or for my clients, we're trying to look at their customer base and trying to relate with them. More than anything, they have problems that need solving, and we have to, you know, help them along that journey. And the biggest thing is like, it's not about, for me, what I want businesses to understand as part of this strategy is not us talking about all the great things that we have done. It's more or less talking about the transformations that we can bring people's lives, right? That's the biggest thing I feel like in this home improvement sector that we're looking at. And so the more that we can get down to that and we can have people relate with common issues that they're having and that we can help them through that, like that is the ultimate strategy. So it's kind of like going back to this thing of like, we can't be the hero in our content. That's the main part of the strategy, is that we are just a guide along the way. And we can have that mindset, like our potential customer, they're ultimately going to be that hero throughout this journey. We have to paint that picture for them, and we're just there to kind of like nudge them down the correct pathway with everything. So yeah, for me, it does stink because I got into this because I'm a creative person. Like that's the reason. Like I wanted to be playing in bands for years. I thought that's how I was going to be making a living, you know, in my 20s and stuff like that. So I've always been that creative person. So yes, the creative portion of this is like the main thing that drives me. But I've realized the more that I'm into this, if I want to be a video marketer, I have to have that strategy piece in place. And that's got to be more of the priority with everything. So yes, initially for me, it was like, yes, let's make beautiful content. But beautiful content only gets you so far. And it's harder to justify that the more and more you make beautiful content for a client. If you can bring strategy to the table and make that more of it, make it more like 75% strategy and 25% visuals, I think it's going to be a stronger product for the client at the end of the day, and they're going to be happier with the results.
I like that. Yeah. When it comes to business, it's all about solving problems. So yeah, if you can solve a problem for somebody, you're gonna go far. So yeah, I can definitely get behind your strategy, because a lot of videographers, probably myself included, don't dive deep enough into the strategy side. And it's like, okay, you got this beautiful video. What are you going to do with it now? Like, does it actually drive any sales? Is there any reason why you actually made this other than just kind of showing off?
Yeah. And for me, like a big thing, and I also do any kind of project, like, because I understand, I value people's investment in me. And so even if it's like a piece of content that someone desperately wants, right? And that's the hardest part, I think, is that you know, as a video marketer, what stuff you should be making for people. They sometimes look at another business or they talk to a friend and they think they need this certain thing. And and it's like they're going to do it. They want it. They don't know why they want it.
Yeah.
You're trying to talk them out of it sometimes, like, hey, I don't know. But if we're going to do that piece of content, I'm also going to say, like, listen, if we're going to charge $2,000 to make a branding video for you, like, I want to also be able to repurpose this in multiple ways or get you other assets out of it or get you raw footage that you could use for future. And like, I have to try to then package it in a way that I know at the end of the day, I'm sleeping well at night, because it's like, all right, I didn't just charge you $2,000 for a single video that you're going to put up and maybe gets 200 likes on your Instagram account. And you're going to be like, well, what did that do for me? It's like, all right, at least we have stuff on the back end where you could also, this could live on your website. This could be a pin post on your Instagram page. We can also maybe take out subsections of this and repost it later. Or we just have raw content that, because I overshoot all the time, and now I'll just give you this raw content that you can have. And if you want to put together things later or further down the road, you come to me and say, hey, Tony, can we put together a 20-second little video? Do you have extra content that we could use? Yeah, I got that already. So now that charge of me doing that video, it's just charging to put a quick edit together, not for me to film anymore or something like that. So
yeah, it's always good to have those assets later.
Correct. Yeah. So that's the way of trying to sell that. At least if I know it's something that they desperately want in that way, can I sell it just knowing that we have a bunch of other things that we could get out of that and not just that one primary asset.
I like that. I like that. Can you share a success story where video transformed a client's business or brand presence?
So I would say one of the coolest things that I've seen lately is a realtor that I work with. And I've been doing stuff on and off with him for like 3 years now. And the coolest thing is that just recently this year, did 2 videos with him. He likes to do, we call this Around Town series, where it showcases like local businesses in the area and Crown Point specifically. And before this, he's been investing for years in his social media like that and doing videos similar in that nature. And he's also been doing real estate walkthrough videos and doing that, providing that for his clients as well.
Alex?
Yeah, Alex Niksch. Oh, yeah. If I drop the name, yeah. So Alex, and like I said, I've just played a small portion of this, of Alex's journey. By no means have I done all of his content for him. He's done a lot on his own and everything as well. But this Around Town series and everything that we did the 2 last videos that we did one for Fricky's and we did one for, I believe it's Lily's, the new like coffee place that opened up. Those 2 videos like popped off. One was well over like 60K and the other one was like over 80K in terms of views. And normally what Alex would do for like a service for people is that he would film these videos on his own dollar, put money behind it and everything on his own dollar, just to be a good guy for the, in the community and just showcasing stuff. Those videos were all organic.
Wow.
Not one piece of that ad spend behind it, nothing like that to boost any kind of post or anything else like that. That was all organic traction.
Nice.
And that was possible because of the years of like organic content that he's put in and like ad spend that he's chosen on certain things that where he's gotten to a point now where it's like grown a following. He's grown trust that like when he talks about something in Crown Point, like people want to listen. And he's positioned himself in a way where like a lot of these businesses, he's like the first to get in to make the video about the place. He's the first, to have those conversations with the owner. So he's put himself in a great spot. Now it's taken investment over the years. He's seen the value in it. And I feel like that's a direct thing as well, is that if I come to him, looking to buy a home, looking at these videos that he's popping up, like he's talking about the community. He lives in this community. He believes in this community. So like when you want to buy a house in this community or this area, you feel a lot better about knowing that this is a guy who's like rooted that way.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of investment in his part, a lot of him betting on himself. But now to start seeing like he can post a video like that and now he doesn't have to necessarily worry. Like if the content is good and we're consistent and it looks great and it hits on all those notes, like there's obviously people are looking at that content and now they're responding in a way that is like way more than I think we both could have expected with everything. And like I said, that's a lot of his strategy. I'm there just creating the content, but it's like it's a cool thing to be at least involved in that process where I've seen that as a direct result, and to have that kind of organic reach, like is pretty awesome to see someone, you know, have that. So like I said, I don't take credit for necessarily a lot of the strategy behind it or everything that happened before I was even working with him, but at least seeing a person that invests in video, like that's been great. And I would say, like, you know, as of recent, I've been working with CertaPro painters, and that's been like another great transformation. Like in the past, like, you know, 4 or 5 months that I've been working with them. It's great when you hear a client and you go talk to him about like, hey, what's the next set of videos that we're going to do this month? And he's just like, oh, these are great. Like I'm seeing people in the community and they're like, oh, I'm seeing you everywhere now. Like I see you on billboards, and then I get on my phone and I see your ads and I see your videos and everything popping up. And that's what he wanted. He just wanted to be in a place where it's like, no matter where you're looking, you're seeing us. And so to get that feedback from him early on has been like great to see, especially with a business that's already well established, right? I mean, they're already kind of like a Northwest Indiana, like super prime business that does great in the area, on both the commercial and residential side of things, but just to kind of be that constant presence, right? And I think it just goes back to, I think businesses like that, they're starting to, I think businesses, owners like that are seeing the value in, I just want to be the most well-known. I want my name associated. So when you think about painting, we are the obvious thing that you've heard about, right? And I think that's a powerful thing, right? Like, don't always have to be the best, or there's someone that could be just as good as you, but I'm more well-known, and that's why you're going to go with me. But you're more well-known because you took the chance, you took the risk of investing yourself on that side of things. And that kind of goes back to like my band days. Like when I talk about that, like I played in a band, and by far not the most talented band in the world. Played with so many other bands that were way technically better than us. But then if you look at comparing the trajectory of our careers and stuff like that, like totally different, right? Like it was like we were more well known. Well, why? Well, we invested in music videos. We invested in recording ourselves and putting money into that. Like the things that you do to promote yourself, you don't always have to be the best. You just have to be the person that's willing to be like the most well known and put money into those things to make sure you're there. And so like I always have that in the back of my mind of like, you know, taking this band application of what got me the small success that I had there, and just like take that same ethos and inject it into businesses.
Nice. Yeah. I like that because, yeah, basically that kind of goes back to that thing of both for Alex and Alex Nicola and the CertaPro business, you're establishing them as a leader in their industry. Like the people who have been seeing them all over online, like that repetition of seeing them and seeing them in a good way, it kind of reinforces that like, oh, that's the person I should look up to for this particular business, you know, this particular industry. Like I know them because I've seen them so many times. I honestly, it's kind of funny, like when you say it like that, like sometimes I will be out in public and I'll be like, I know that person from somewhere and I don't know where. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I saw it was a Facebook ad. Like I've been at events that I was filming and I'm like, I know that person because, oh yeah, it was actually, I think one of your clients, I met him last year at the Crown Point tree lighting ceremony. And I was like, where do I know you from? I was like, oh yeah, because I see it on Tony's page all the time. So yeah, it's like that just like brand recognition, getting your face out there. Like a lot of people don't like to get their face out there. They're scared, things like that. But it's like, if you really want to succeed in business, people have to know who you are.
Correct.
So, I want to know, like, how do you balance creativity with strategy when producing content for businesses?
Did we do that? Sorry, did we do that?
Did we do that one already?
I think so.
Okay, so we'll move to the next one. Well, I think we did
there was
success stories.
I did success stories, yeah.
So I don't think we quite did balance creativity. I guess we can move on if you don't.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not sure if that previous question before that one was the similar thing. Maybe I screwed up.
I think they're just, they're kind of similar questions. Yeah. But if you want to have another clip, like I said, we're clip.
Yeah, so just go ahead.
Do you want to do that one? Or do you want? Okay. So And I might be able to cut this out for the long video, but so how do you balance creativity with strategy when producing content for businesses?
The biggest thing here with the creative portion of it is like coming to a client and saying, okay, how can we make this you? That's where the creativity aspect has got to be in. And what kind of things can we do in that video to align with the strategy that we have at the moment in terms of like what we're trying to, what the offer is going to be, or what are the type of things that you want to basically stress. A lot of times it's like FAQs are a great kind of strategy to put out there if we're talking about highlight videos that we're going to put out there. So the creativity from that standpoint is like once we identify those pillars, right, then we can talk about how we want to creatively make that different or zone in on how we can make that a little bit more individualized for the company. Because that's the other thing that for me, I have to balance as well, because if I'm working with a lot of these companies, the thing that I want to make sure is that it's original feeling content from person to person, and I'm not just copying and pasting. And that's what I guarantee that I make to these companies is that, listen, I'm not going to copy and paste this. I had recently, I had 2 different like athletic training companies that I've been working with, right? And so they're kind of competitors of each other. And I'm, it's one of those things I'm stuck in the middle. And I'm like, listen, you guys both have different sets of services that you offer. You're like, yes, at the core, you're physical trainers, but there are different things that you guys that make are individualized to you. And that's what we got to focus on. And that's the messaging that we're going to focus on. And I will let you know straight up if what you're asking me starts kind of melding towards that, like I'm going to be honest with you and be like, hey, listen, they're saying something like that or similar verbiage. We got to find a different way of making that you. So I would say the strategy is like, yes, let's have our pillars of content that we want to go with, but then creatively, how can we make that thing like individualized to your business and getting out the message that we want? And then, like I said, ultimately injecting like their personality into it, whether it's like humor or whether it's just, we're using their space. That's another big thing. Like I think what you were talking about before earlier about getting people on camera, like nothing's going to be more individualized than putting the owner or other people that work in your business on camera. Like now you're automatically, like if you're just having me go out there and kind of get B-roll and scripting something, yes, now stuff starts sounding a lot the same, but when you're willing to get on camera or like I said, have people that work for you on camera, now we're ultimately individualized. Like we are now making content that's completely you, and we can be creative with that because every person comes on is going to be a little bit different how they deliver the content or what type of energy they bring and stuff like that. So now we can really start thinking about how can we lean into that more, as we're making content for people. So
yeah, I like that. And I totally get like what you're saying where you're working with multiple people in the same industry. Happens to me all the time. Like I have multiple law firms that I work with. I work in the steel industry too. So I've worked with multiple like businesses that create robots that cut and weld steel beams. And I had to ask my main client, hey, is it okay if I work with this other client? And like, they're like, well, it's similar products, but we're not really in the same industry. Like we don't make exactly the same products. So it's like, as long as it's a little bit different, it's like, it's okay. We can figure out ways to market yours and market theirs like differently, stuff like that. So, yeah, there's definitely like a little bit of creativity that goes into it. And yeah, getting people on camera is, I think, really powerful when you have the higher up you are in the company. I think it's like sort of more powerful in terms of like when somebody sees, oh, the CEO is getting on camera. Okay, let's listen to what they have to say, stuff like that. So I can see like the sort of, you got your strategy side, you got your creativity side, you got to kind of blend the two together in order to actually produce unique content for your business.
Yeah.
So what sort of trends in video marketing do you think businesses should be paying attention to in the next year?
So trends for sure. I just gave a talk recently, to a group of business owners. And for me, I think for as much as we talk about wanting to be an expert in your field, I think a lot of people can get intimidated by that because, you know, a lot of businesses you try to work with are startups. And so, you know, they're just getting into this marketing thing and they're trying to make this work. And how can I be an expert in the field if I've only just started my business? Like, Tony, how does that even make sense? And so I think what I've seen this past year, you know, even from some of my content that I put out there, like just putting out BTS kind of stuff, people want to see how you build the damn thing. I think people are interested in that. And I think if you're willing to lean into that with your content, of that you're willing to document the highs, the lows, stuff that you learn along the way, that is what people are really into. And, you know, like you can inject then here and there of like, you know, by you showing what you learned from a certain job, like you're showing now that you've grown, that you've learned, and now you're sharing that knowledge with people. So you are getting smarter in your industry and you can become more of authority. Like, hey, I would not do this if I were you, right? Like I would not take a job like this, or, hey, we wouldn't use a product like this on this kind of, you know, building ever again. You know, like that might've been a hard moment for you, but now that's a great thing that you can share with potential clients of like that. And you should, and once again, it might be a screw up or it might not be a great estate in your business, but like you being vulnerable enough to be and transparent enough, like with someone that's a potential client, I think that speaks volumes. So I think showing how you build a damn thing, I think is a great new trend of that. That's what people are interested in, because a lot of people live vicariously with like social media, right? Like we fall in love with these people that are like viral, whatever, because they're like, you know, jumping off of cliffs in the Maldives and stuff like that, right? Like you're buying into that because like you're just trying to live vicariously through them. Well, some people, they're stuck in a job that they're just, you know, maybe working 9 to 5 in a cubicle. They've always wanted to do something else and they see you doing this and they're just relating to you. They're just like, man, I wish I had that, or I wish I would be doing that right now. And if you're kind of maybe you that inspiration that they find are like, well, that's all it takes, or that's what they're doing to make this work. Like, I think I can finally do that and make that push. Like, you know, go for it. You know, like, so I think that's like a big trend that I'm telling people to lean into a little bit more. And then once again, that's like letting your guard down, like all those things that you have to do to make that type of content available. But I think that's in reaction. I know you were talking earlier too about AI, and I think that's a reaction to AI. I think it came out. I think, you know, it's still doing its thing with AI, and people are worried about, you know, like, well, it's just going to take everything out of video, or, hey, you can make this with video. And it's like, yeah, we've seen the stuff it can do, and yes, it's going to get better. And yeah, it's crazy the stuff that it can fake and put you in different scenes and you know, make all these different types of stuff. But it's like, at the end of the day, I think people are pushing back, and they want what's real. You know, still, like, it's cool. It's a cool gag. But at the end of the day, I still think people want the real story, and they want to go with that. And so that's why I think like showing how you build something and showing the human element in your business, I feel is like a big thing to push forward here throughout the rest of the year, moving forward into 2026.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I actually have been talking to other sort of video marketers, and a buddy of mine, Selah Brooks, he was on one of my previous episodes of this podcast, and that's exactly what he was preaching. Like, get out there, tell your story, because your story is unique to you. And like, I get it. Like, it can be extremely scary. And I don't even really do much of this where you like share even the failures and stuff. I need to get better at doing that myself, because it's like, yeah, it's terrifying to like say I failed, or I did something that like I don't want to do that again. But if you share that story, it's going to get people invested, because it's like now they hear like the pitfalls in addition to the wins. Like, I think people probably stick too much to just sharing the wins on social media, and it's like if you share like the whole story, it's a more interesting story.
Yeah.
Because like stories have an arc. You have like lows, highs, lows, you know.
Yep.
That's the way how a story is like interested. It gets you sucked in. So like, yeah, the businesses that I'm seeing like really succeed on social media, they share everything, and they like basically put themselves out there farther than you probably normally would.
Yeah.
And I think you are right about it being a response to AI, because uh, AI is just so fake these days that like people want real human connection. I think that's why you're seeing even more of like these long form podcasts do well, because
Yep.
people feel like, okay, I can at least connect with you. Like, even if you are like someone who, like, let's say, doesn't have a lot of friends and you just work all the time, when you get home you put on a podcast because now it feels like you're listening to someone like that you can relate to. Even if you don't have time to go spend it with your friends and things like that, you can like sort of feel like you got some friends with you.
Yeah.
As someone who lives alone, that's kind of how I use podcasts. But I mean, I have my dog, he's my friend, so
Yeah, but I mean, I think we've seen long form has kind of reinstilled itself. Like people are looking for long form YouTube videos, and you've seen that like content creators that are out there that are doing stuff that they're leaning more into long form. And yeah, it makes sense because you could do something like this that's long form, and we clip farm it, right? We could get a bunch of smaller social bits for it. But I think people are craving, you know, that type of long form content again. So it's just, you know, like I said, I think it's just that reaction of just watching real people do stuff.
Authenticity.
Authenticity is just it's a huge thing, I think, moving forward. Like I said, with any shiny new toy, people are going to rave about it. They're going to do whatever. People are going to lose their minds over what's going to happen to the future of our industry. And it's like, just pull the reins back. Like it's gonna blow itself over, and understand it's just another tool, right? And there are many cool situations where I can use that tool to help in certain parts of creating content. Don't be afraid of it. But like, you know, like it's not, I don't think it's going to, you know, take over what you can bring to businesses, you know, at the end of the day, or how you can grow your personal brand at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So for like small businesses with limited budgets, where do you let's start that over. Okay. So for small businesses with limited budgets, where do you recommend they start with video?
So I think the big thing that they need to build in, no matter what, is kind of getting good organic content built in, right? So you want to have good, high quality organic content so that when someone lands on your page and someone does find you, you are set up for success, right? I think that the worst thing that you know, businesses can do is that if they do happen to find you through some random search on Google, or, you know, you just pop up on their phone randomly, whatever the case might be, that you get picked up by the algorithm that day. They get to your page, they're excited now to learn a little bit more about you, and that's the only thing that you have there. And now, as a potential customer, they're looking at this person as like, how active is this company? Are you even a business? Like, I don't know if I can even trust moving with this company moving forward. And so now they have all these things now that they think about your company that, you know, subliminally thinking, they're probably not saying it out loud, but you're looking at that like, oh, this is all you got? Oh, I don't even, you know, like, so it's like you start, if that's your first impression, or again, like your second impression, right? You first got them, you finally got that moment where someone was interested in what you had to say, and then you couldn't back it up with anything. So I would say, and you can use a phone, right? Like phones can do great things with video. Like I said, more than anything, probably have just good audio to go along with it, right? There are plenty of like $250 microphone systems that you can put on that are stable, that if you're going to get into this content game of making content for yourself, like a $250 investment is well worth it. Make the audio great. You can set your phone up on a tripod, and you can go from there and build out your organic content to begin with. At least 9 to 12 videos, right? So that initial thumb scroll on Instagram is all loaded up with content of you talking about your industry, or showing things that you're doing, talking about a client testimony. If you can get a client testimonial on there, if you can get a user generated video up there, even that, you know, of someone interacting with your product or talking about your service, any of that stuff is fair game. Get that stuff up on your page right away is what I would say. So that when, like I said, when people do find you, they can get more impressed by what you have going on. And then from there, you can maybe start talking about like then starting to build out followers and making that investment. Because I think if you ad spend right away and you don't have that stuff in place, yeah, someone's going to find your ad, they're going to come check you out, and you got nothing to back it up. So bare minimum, get on your phone, get a good microphone, plug out some videos, fill up that initial bit of your content stuff, and then start thinking about like your ad strategy and where you move forward.
Yeah, I like that. I have like a certain set of like videos that I think every business really needs in order to basically establish yourself as a legit business. And I think like basically it's your explainer video. What do? You kind of need that, like tell everybody this is what we do so that they even like know what your business is about. But then you kind of, I like to do the next video as sort of your backstory, that about me video that's sort of like tells people a little bit more about why you started the business and like the sort of reasons to connect with you, and kind of it brings you into the community, like kind of brings you into like, oh, this is a relatable person, not just like this cold corporate entity. And then and then after that, testimonials and FAQs, those are great. So if you have that stuff, I agree, that's like sort of your bare bones, like this is what you need to at least show you're a legit real company, and then you can start getting into the funner videos of the stuff that you're like growing an audience. But if you're running ads and you don't have that stuff, people aren't going to trust your company. They're going to get to that landing page and be like, I don't know if this is real.
Correct. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what the impression you do not want to be.
Yeah, exactly. So how does your let's go to this next question. So how does your agency differentiate itself from others in the video marketing space?
So the way I look at a lot of companies that are out there, you have companies that just make content. They make commercials, they make, pieces of whatever, branding videos, whatever the case might be. That's what they focus on. They're going to make that for you. It's going to be awesome. They're going to bang it out, and then they hand it over to you, and you got to figure out.
That's a lot of what I do.
Yeah. Then you got to figure out how you're going to promote it. Then as a customer, now, how do I get it up there? Where does this go? Et cetera, et cetera. There are other companies that just focus on the other part, where it's just like, we're just going to market for you. We're going to, you have the content, we'll get it. We'll run ads for you. We'll get stuff, CEO all worked out for you. We'll do all that. Right. So you have two opposite ends of the spectrum. And what I like to think of myself is that it's a little bit more full service, in the sense of like, I'm going to help you fill the content. I'll help you do pre-production. I'll help you with the scripting of your ads and everything. I can provide all the editing for you, and then I can even run ads for you as well. So that's my thing of trying to fill into that area where it's like a one-stop shop where we can make that all happen, where I'm able to provide not only the content and the ideation, but then get you posted and go from there. So that's kind of essentially where I think I fall a little bit different than other companies, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I like that. And I can see that's actually why I brought you on my podcast today, because I can see that being like the sort of trend going forward for a lot of video companies. Like, because like you said, my business has always sort of been on the side of like, you come to me, you have your ideas, you have your vision, and I just make it happen. I just make it look good, make you guys look pretty on camera. That's sort of like my business model. But I mean, I work with a lot of companies that have like a marketing team, and so that's why they have all these ideas. But I'm definitely seeing like this sort of trend of like smaller businesses, they don't have a marketing team, but they still want to do like high quality video and establish themselves on social media and stuff. So like by you coming in and sort of bringing all the strategy and ideas, it takes a lot off of their plate, because as a business owner, like you got a lot on your plate these days as a small business owner. So it's like you kind of need to have somebody else like do as much of this other stuff as possible, that are like sort of the peripheries, like the marketing side of things. Your average business owner does not want to think about marketing. They didn't get into this business to become like the next viral trend on TikTok. Like that's not what they were thinking about coming into the business. So yeah, like having someone like you like take over, do all of that sort of heavy lifting on the marketing end, I think can just like save so much time and stress. And just I think that's sort of like the trend of where you need to go as a video business owner in order to stay relevant, because quality has it's sort of been like, we used to have like, your phone was down here and the expectations were up here. So you kind of needed to hire somebody who had that better quality video. But now phones have come up a little and quality expectations have gone down a little. So now it's more about the strategy than just looking pretty on camera, because everybody looks good on camera nowadays. So
yeah,
it's sort of that balance.
It's as you said, I think the biggest part is that for me, it's finding the people that value video marketing as a strategy, that realize that they're overwhelmed having to do it all for themselves, and that's another thing on their plate, right? And so it's coming in with a service that is taking that away from them, where they don't have to worry about that as much. The most that they usually have to worry about it is like the once a month kind of thing where we do the filming. And in a lot of cases, I want to batch content that. So I'm going to film 2 months worth of stuff within one session that we do that will stretch it out over. Now it's just every other month we're filming, which is even, gets them even more excited, type of, when we're thinking about how much did they
most bang for the buck. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and even just taking time out of your day to film it can be a lot for a business. Like I've had times where they're like, no, we can't film on this day. Like we need the whole crew out here on the job. So like we got to find a different day to film, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's really trying to provide, that's that type of service for them. And then, like I said, I think that the biggest thing that I like to do too is do that field work. My big thing is, there are also a lot of businesses that are willing to put in a lot of stock content and stuff like that for things that they're working, and that's not a part of my business model at all. It's like, I'm going to be boots on the ground. I want to get your crews doing the thing, showing off that work, showing off that it's, you guys actually in the field and things like that, and not faking that. And I think it's been cool to see with a lot of businesses is when we start putting in footage of their crews doing work and them doing the installs and all those type of things, how much better those videos perform than these pretty videos that use stock footage and everything else like that, because of just like that real authenticity that we've been talking about, being on full display. So.
Yeah. You can tell when it's stock footage. Like it has a certain look to it.
It does. And like, yeah, it can look great, but then I think we're once again, we're straying away with the true purpose of, for me, what the true purpose of all this video marketing is supposed to be about.
As soon as I see stock footage, I scroll to the next video. We kind of answered this already, but let's do this one again if we did already answer it. So if a business owner listening today wanted to take the first step in leveling up their video presence, what would you recommend they do?
Well, I think the first thing that they got to do is talk to some kind of video marketing agency. I think that's the first thing they need to do, because I think, like we just talked about, it's just another thing they don't need on their plate. Like they can be involved. I tell people you can be involved as much as you want, but I think you need to really have a true discovery call with a video marketing agency just to kind of see like a 10,000 foot view of your business. And when I talk to people, more than anything, I'm like, listen, let's have a call. Let me give you tips. If you can leave that meeting with me and I can bring you value, like that's even a plus for me at the end of the day. Like I being a small business owner, like I'm championing for other small businesses to succeed. So if I can even just put you down a pathway and then maybe we cross paths again one day further down the road, that's fine with me. But I think it's valuable to see how other people do your business, see where you're lacking and where you could potentially go. And then like I said, from there, develop, a type of strategy that's going to work for you. Like try to come up with content pillars that you think are going to hit home. Try to think of a posting schedule that is consistent, right? Whether that's once a week or 3 times a week, like consistent with that number, holding yourself accountable goes a long way of having that content that you're going to need to drive to stay top of mind with people. And then, with a lot of these business owners, it's also kind of introducing this whole thing of understanding the difference in types of content that you put out and the expectations then that you should have, from that actual content. And then the final thing that I would say about getting into this, I think it's also important to have conversations about your actual business and your financials with someone like a video marketer, so you could actually understand like what this investment could possibly do for you and where you're at. Like, are you wanting to scale or not? I think one of the most infuriating conversations that I had with a business owner, and it was, they really thought they needed me And I had to kind of like talk them out of it, because I'm like, you don't want to grow. You know, like, you don't have a clear vision of where you want to go. And so if you're not wanting to grow, like, why are we doing this? And like, you obviously only want to pay me this much. And I'm like, I can't justify, you know, like the differences that we have in price, because like, what am I doing for you then? Like, I don't want to just take your money, and the money that you want to spend, it's not going to cover my bottom line. So it's like, you know, you want to do this, but you don't actually understand what you want to do this for. And I'm like, if you're not wanting to grow, if you're not wanting to do things, then you don't need this. Like, if you're happy where everything is right now, then, you know, like, why are we talking about this? And sometimes people need to hear that conversation, you know, of this, like, you know, is this actually valuable to you, you know, and type of thing. So it's like, those are those conversations. If someone's looking to get into video marketing, I think that they need to have those things kind of figured out. They need to kind of see what their vision is of how they want to grow their company, and does investing in this actually make sense? And like, the final thing I think we were talking about even before we started the podcast is just like having them look at essentially, like, how much are they making every month? What do you want to scale to? All right. And then understand, like, also what your services are going for, right? Do we need to adjust your prices? You know, like, we can have honest conversations about that. Like, should you be charging more as a business owner? You know, like, I can hopefully diagnose those kind of things for you, without me being an expert in an industry, but it's like, you know, to justify getting you where you want to go. Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm there to do, is help grow your business. So we have to be able to have those actual conversations. And that's why I think it's important to have, like I said, that person come from the outside who's just got a fresh perspective on your business. And maybe, like I said, if anything, you talk to someone like me with my mindset, I hopefully just give you like a roadmap that you can use to kind of go forward. And then as you want to maybe take different steps, like, we can talk about that, you know, what that actually looks like, and what that investment is going to look like, you know, for you and your business moving forward, and how that can help you hit those other goals that you want.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you're so honest with people. Like, hey, are you actually getting a return on this investment with me? Like, I'm here to make you money, not here to make you lose money.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, I stopped working for coffee shops and stuff like that, because what I would charge for photos and stuff like that, it just
wasn't enough.
It's like, how many lattes now do you have to sell to cover me doing product photos for you? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, please use your cell phone, or, you know, do something like that. I'd rather teach you, I'd rather consult you for an afternoon of how you can, like, get away with doing something like that. Yeah. And that would bring more, you know, essentially value for you, because, you know, at the end of the day, still the margins that you have, like, it's not going to justify, like, unless you have some other product that we're going to be selling, unless you're like roasting your own coffee and everything, your own beans, and you could sell that as another potential thing that we could do something else. But just selling coffee, like, that's a hard thing to invest the type of marketing that you would truly need to, like, make that all make sense. Now, if you're another business with a higher ticket thing, like we were talking about, if your average service is $5,000, you know, like, for every, you know, new client that we get, well, now we're talking about, my job is like, I get you 5 more clients in a month, that's $25,000. And then that light bulb goes off, with people like, wait, that is right. That's 25 more grand in my pocket. And it's like, all right. And listen, that $5,000 is going to pay for me to do what I have to do, and for your ad spend. So as long as you're not scared by putting in $5,000 in a month to do something, knowing that now on the other side of it, you could make $20,000 of now pure profit. Like, that's a pretty good, you know, bang for your buck. Like, you know, that's, you know, if you can tell someone, hey, give me $5,000 and I'm going to give you $25,000.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer, right? Like, you would do that month after month. You would feed that machine. And so that's what I'm trying to tell people. I'm like, yes, there's always the risk. What happens if it doesn't hit? Yes. At some points we have to see if an ad's going to work, or this, that, the other thing. We're building awareness and stuff like that. But if we structure an ad correctly, and we put the amount of targeting in, and we know all these other things, like, chances are going to be pretty good that we're going to hit that. And even, like I said, if I do a terrible job that first month and you only get 2 new customers out of it, you've covered me, and now you've made $5,000. Yeah. On top of your other business that you're going to get. Because, right, you're otherwise you're just working by word of mouth, and you're doing referrals and stuff. So you still have your business coming in. So it's like, still, if I only get you 2 new customers after all that, like, still made money at the end of the day. put in $1, you got two. So we'd like it, bare minimum of it, put in one and get three.
Everybody likes money.
Yeah, everyone likes that. So I mean, that's the thing when we're looking at that of, like I said, have that meeting, see where you're at as a business owner so you can make an intelligent decision moving forward if that's truly video marketing is truly what you need, and then on what scale we're going to do that.
Yeah. A video of someone making coffee looks really cool.
Does.
But are you going to make your money back on it? Can you break down the difference between paid ads and organic content, and what realistic expectations business owners should have for each?
Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest thing when people talk to me about video marketing, right? This is where I am super upfront and honest with people, right? Because I think the strategy, you need both, but then the expectations that people have, you talked about once again, is that, this is their expectations of what that organic video is going to do. And in reality, this is probably what it's going to do. And you have to be happy with it. And I think that's kind of going back to like when we were speaking about a previous client of mine and stuff like that. Like organic is important because it's that middle of funnel content that's going to educate people on what you do. It's going to build trust. It's going to just show that you're active as a business. All those things that I think are super, super important. But in terms of the traction that it's going to get, if you're looking for that stuff to get viral and all that, it's not going to happen. All right, I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's not going to happen. Now, we will see that as the content gets better, all right, as we continue to figure that out, as we are more consistent, as your name's getting out there more, that we'll start digging a little bit more and more, and you'll start seeing those numbers tick up, all right? When you verify your Meta account and all those things, like that stuff will continue to grow over time. You can't abandon it after a month. I had a client recently that was like, we posted, all this organic stuff, and we're not working together anymore. So, and I can be honest with him, is like, we did 1 month's worth of stuff, all organic. And he was like, well, that didn't really do much. And I'm like, well, I told you from the beginning that like organic content, like if you have 10 followers, what do you think is going to happen? Like we have to grow the page. Like we didn't even get to run ads, which is in the next part of this. Like you have to put skin in the game.
Got to play the long game.
So it's like, if you want ads, we can run follower ads like on Instagram that are going to help grow that account so that more people are seeing the organic content you're putting out. But you got to do that. Like I said, previous client wasn't interested in running ads. So it's like, well, you know what? You're going to continue to pretty much get the same thing unless we get lucky that we tag a certain post that has another company that shares it, right? I got one video for him out of the month that we did that he got 10K on the video for an account that had
good.
For an account that had like 15 people that followed it.
Yeah, that's
right.
Good for that.
So, but we were able to tag another couple companies that were on it, and they reshared the video, and so we got the views. Now, once again, it's all vanity metrics because we wanted, more followers and we wanted to get some clientele out of it. But the paid ad is super important because that's what's pushing it, right? That's the material that you are pushing out there strategically that we're going to actually put money behind it, so it is seen by not only your followers, but new people that fit within all the specs that we set up within the ad and being direct. And that's the important part that people need to invest in beyond it. Because if you're just wanting me to make organic content for you, once again, I'd be happy to do it. We'll make it consistent. We'll make it look good. We'll put out all the messaging and things that we think are aligning with you and your brand and building all that trust. But we need that top of funnel to attract someone. And that's where the ad comes in. That's how you get people into your ecosystem. And that's where you have to put in that money to get above the noise. And so it's from the ads that we will actually generate potential clients and we will generate leads. And like I said, we could do ads that are follower based that we're just trying to spread awareness of your company, or we can do ads. Another type of ad that I love to run for a lot of service-based businesses are lead form ads. And within a lead form ad, it's great because you are collecting people's information, right? So you're getting name, phone number, email address, and now you have that in your ecosystem. So now you can follow up with someone if they don't book a call with you. Normally, a lot of that stuff, it's like, hey, I have your information. Now go book a call with me. And if they don't, now we have something that we can follow up with. Now you've shown interest and we can try to nurture you. And for some of businesses, another service that I offer as well is kind of building out that nurture sequence so that you did sign up for this and give us information. We're going to hit you with an email now to remind you to book a call with us. And then we're going to hit you with another email if you still don't book a call with us. Like having this series of touches to try to get people to at least get you on that sales call with everything.
Like a funnel.
Yeah. And so if you don't pay for ads, you're not going to get any of that type of information to continue to do those things. So that's the big thing between ads and organic, is that organic, we're not expecting this big reach unless we hit on something. And we strike some kind of nerve with the algorithm, or we have someone tagged in it that we're able to cross promote, that it hits off a little bit more, right? That's that slow play, where the ads are the more aggressive strategy that has to be implemented to get your business out in front of people's eyes on a more consistent basis, that you can be a lot more predictable in terms of the amount of people that are going to see you and your business. So those two things are super important. I also throw in that organic section, I also throw like stories in there. I think stories are super important and keep you top of mind. And it's also a great place where you can experiment with content. Right? It disappears after, 24 hours. So it's like, you can try all sorts of stuff there to see if it works or if it doesn't, and it helps your business or doesn't help your business. You can inject a lot of personality. You can inject a lot of different things there. I think that's a great testing ground. But more importantly, like I said, a lot of people check out stories. So it's a great way of staying top of mind, which is super important. I've gotten, multiple gigs just because someone's like, I saw your story the other day. And I was like, are you still doing that video thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm still doing that video thing. And then, it ends up being some type of client or some kind of one-off that I give or something like that. But once again, all came from something that's organic. So you can get lucky in those situations where you can get work and things like that. But understand the result that we're trying to get out of that. Understand the purpose of that content. And then that's the big thing that we want to get across to business owners right from the get-go. So expectations are like, we're all on the same page about what these different type of things do for you and your business.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like to think of it as like your organic content is going to be, if you want it to go viral, you're going to have to be very broad with what your focus is on that content, because like you have to appeal to the most number of people as possible to get a lot of views. And those aren't necessarily your customers. So that's like where your ad content comes in, is like, that's very targeted to someone who wants to, potentially be one of your customers. So it's like, you can be a little more broad with your organic content, but you want to be very narrow it down with those ads so that you're targeting exactly, because you're paying for these ads, you're paying for the eyeballs. So at that point, you want it to be very targeted, and you want to only run the ad on people that are going to potentially purchase. So that was kind of all the main questions I had for you today. But I had one last question that I wanted to get to. So your name is Tony, but your business is Hey Charlie Studios. What's the story behind that?
So going back to my band days and everything. So my guitar player and we decided that, hey, the best thing that could possibly happen to us is that we're a band that makes it, we're on the road, but when we come back home, we don't want to be bartenders or working just kind of like part-time jobs to have additional income. So we thought, let's start a recording studio. So let's build out a recording studio and everything. So luckily, I had the space in my home to build that out in the basement and put a lot of love and everything into building that actual recording studio. And so as we were doing this, it was just like, hey, it was like, oh, these two guys from, Oceans Over Airplanes that are recording people. Let's go and do that. So we were trying to think about a name for the studio as we were building it all out, and what should we call it? And, we're throwing names back and forth. And then how it all ended up working out is that my dog at the time, his name was Charlie, and Charlie had a propensity for like going halfway down the stairs, going into my basement, and we had a different entrance that people would come into the actual recording studio from. And as they walk into the studio, Charlie would be sitting about head high, just like greeting people as they walk through the door and everything. So it was always like, hey Charlie, what's up? What's up, buddy? And it was like he became like the mascot of the studio and everything. And so then that just kind of stuck. It was like we heard Hey Charlie so much as people were walking in that were like, let's just call it Hey Charlie Studios. So so that was the intention for it just to be my recording studio for musicians. And then when I had the chance of like opening all this up, I'm like, well, I had the name, like people are used to hearing that before. And I know I'm doing like a totally different thing here working in video and photography, but I was like, you know what? He was the best dog I could ever, hope for. He's been like, that was like my dog to say the least. So it's like anything that I could do to continue to honor his name and everything. So we're like, we'll keep it the same. We'll just call it Hey Charlie Studios.
Nice. That's super cool. I actually didn't even know that you were into like the audio production side. I think maybe I sort of got the idea from some of your content online, but
yeah,
I didn't realize you had like a whole studio and everything. That's awesome. Yeah, it's actually kind of where I came from because I started in audio production. Like my major in college was audio production.
Oh, awesome.
So like I had a little studio in my parents' basement in Crown Point, and I would record local bands and stuff. But then I kind of after college, I got an internship at PBS, which that kind of got me into the video side of things, and kind of fell in love with video. So kind of went in that direction. Also, I thought it might be a little easier to make some money on the video side.
True, not to sound cut through, but like when you're, it was great. We had enough work over the years that it pretty much paid for all the gear that we invested in the studio over all the years. So it was nice to have all these preamps and microphones and stuff that, at the end of the day, like it paid for itself. But like in terms of putting money in our pockets, like never did that. Cause you're always gear hunting. You're like, oh, what's the next microphone I need? What's the next preamp? Or, hey, we can build this out.
And musicians generally don't have a lot of money.
Musicians that we're dealing with generally don't have, because, you're waiting for that like one band that takes a risk on you, or your portfolio's getting big enough where it's like, hey, maybe we can attract this mid-tier band or something like that. Yeah. I think if I probably had started it now in this time period, but like, still in the early 2000s, the idea of going to a big studio is what was still in people's minds, still in people's budgets. Mm-hmm. And so like you were battling with that. Like how are you gonna beat an SSL console or a Trident board or like, some kind of, it's like you're still battling against all of those kind of spaces and people that had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on acoustic treatment and all that kind of stuff. And now it's like commonplace, right? People are writing Grammy award-winning albums like in their bedrooms, right? The mindset's different, the perception's different, where you don't have to sell it as hard, type of deal. So, but with that now, it's like budgets are even, more and more constrained. I remember talking to a band, and they ended up like recording their like last album that they had by themselves, like for the record label that they were on. They were on Victory. Wow. They were on Victory Records. Oh, wow. They did like their last album, recorded it all themselves.
That's wild.
Submitting it out.
One of my buddies does music videos for Victory Records.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, or at least he did for a while. I don't know if he still does.
So and that's like so it's like, when I can, work on the music side of things with video and stuff. I love being able to unite those two things together. I have like one music client that I've been doing live shows and stuff for. I did some music videos for. I do love doing the music video thing. But once again, it's like finding the right people that have the budget and everything to do with it. Because now that I'm on the other side of it, man, I think of myself as a real jerk now, because I think of myself back in that day, and someone like wanting $1,500 for a music video, and I'm like, you got to be out of your mind. It should cost $300. And I'm like, now it's like someone offer me $300. I'm like, I'm not even getting in the car. Like you can't even get me in the car for $300 for a music video.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like being on the opposite side of the fence. It's like I realize.
I tried to work with musicians as much as possible. I try to give them discounts when I can, but just because I know it's such a tough industry, like I really respect musicians. I mean, I play guitar. I used to be in a band in college called the Syndicate. Okay. They were a punk band, not the greatest, but I play more of the blues type stuff these days. But I try to like help out bands whenever I can, because I do have a lot of friends in the music industry. Like just because I was in band in high school, and like James Ghetto played trumpet with me. He's a plays at all the bars around here and in Chicago. And then Jack Whittle, he plays with James a lot. And then Nick Kazonis, he was also in band with me. He's got Region Buzz 219 in Maryville. So like I try to stay connected with all these guys over the years and help them out whenever I can,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been awesome talking with you. I feel like I learned a lot that I'm even going to like implement into my business, just because I think like where your business is positioned is really where this sort of industry is going, like where people need that sort of one-man band can sort of take over and do all of your marketing, because everything's just getting more fast-paced these days. And you really need something to differentiate and stand out. And if you can do that in a one-stop shop, that helps you out, makes it easier for everyone.
Yeah, and I would say like the last thing I would say then before we call it a day too is that the other thing that I'm contemplating more as well is that a lot of what I'm doing is kind of like a done for you model, right? Which is great when you find like the right kind of client that has the right kind of budget that, you are kind of their marketing department essentially, and they're willing to keep you on from a month to month kind of basis, which is awesome. But there's also that part of me now too, is when you're looking at, maybe talking about some of these other businesses that might not be able to have that kind of budget. Can you do more a done with you type of model, which is something that I'm starting to kind of dabble a little bit more in, where it's kind of just teach someone to fish type of deal, where it's like, all right, I know that the long play might not be there to work with you in that kind of capacity, but perhaps if it's on a short-term kind of basis, still for, you tapping into the knowledge and stuff that I have, and me kind of helping lay the groundwork, lay the foundations for you, give you some resources over those months that you can go back to those resources and always have on hand. Can I teach you kind of this system, teach you the strategy? And if you feel like you can make it happen on your own, then it's like, we do this initial kind of like 3-month kind of consultation, and then you can go off and do your own, and that's another thing that I'm looking at. Like I said, I still love being able to work with clients on that retainer kind of thing, because I just like feeling I'm a part of that process, right? And I'm building that company with them. But I know that's not always the case. So that's a different thing that I've been looking at as well, that I think is going to be another potential thing. Like I said, the long term working with them, like I said, is a thing that stinks that won't happen. But I think being able to still provide that value to local companies is I think another potential way of entering this market, where it's a little bit more churn, unfortunately. But there are enough businesses that I think will be more up to the thing of, hey, we pay this chunk of cash for a short amount of time, but now I have resources and I have the know-how of how to do this moving forward, and that's worth it to me and my business. And so I think that's a final way of how I might be kind of navigating the waters as well moving forward, to be that be another offer that I could offer other businesses in the area, where I'm still able to positively affect them. All right, help them grow their business. As they move forward. So, no, I think that's actually another sector that I can see growing, because I have a buddy who was a videographer for a local company, and he decided to go off on his own and start his own company. And all he does, he didn't buy a bunch of video gear or anything. All he does is consulting, where he just shows the business owners how to film stuff with their phones. So shows them how to run their marketing side of things on their own, because a lot of businesses, we do have pretty good phones these days, and a lot of businesses, that's more accessible for them than paying for high quality video services. So that's really cool to know that you're like offering that side of it too. So cool. Where can people find all of your work, and if they want to hire you? So heycharliestudios.com is where you can find my website. I would say that my most current work, though, if you want to really check stuff out, Instagram, at Hey Charlie Studios is where you can see like my most up to date job highlights that I put out there. Also, I put out a lot of content that's just trying to educate people. So just different thoughts on marketing. So if you just want to learn how to market your business in general, looking for some tips and some tricks there, I put out a lot of free information that is out there for you. You can contact, like, all my contact information, everything's on my website if you want to get a hold of me that way. Or you can just shoot me a DM or anything, either through Facebook or through Instagram. But you can find me in all those channels there if you want to work together in the future.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Tony. And for you at home, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye now.